Om Shanti, and good morning to everyone. It feels as if we've been, it's a bit echoey I think, isn't it? Sorry. It feels as if we've been together for a very long time, right? You also feel that? 1.5 days? 1.5 months, or what? But actually there was news. Is Faisal here? Oh, you're right in front of me. There was news last night that there was quite a strong earthquake in Morocco, not far from the area where your home is. So I thought if we could begin with some meditation and silence to send our love and good wishes to the area, the souls there, those who are caught up in this. So let us just have a few moments of silence to begin, to share our good wishes. There was an earthquake in Morocco last night, quite strong. So remember, in that state of soul consciousness, in the awareness of being the soul, from my state of peace, let me send the vibrations of peace. Thank you. Thank you. So, with your permission, we'll continue. Thank you. So, this morning is really about connection and about belonging. And who do we belong to? Who do we connect with? What is it that connects? And I was thinking about belonging. We do feel that we belong to each other. But what gives us that feeling of belonging? I think you feel it here in this gathering, am I right? To some extent. And we're all from different backgrounds, culturally, religious, everything you can think of. But what gives us the feeling of belonging is the pure intention that each one has inside. And that's the vibration that makes us feel that we belong. And ultimately, the strongest sense of belonging that we can have is to feel that we belong to that divine source and that we are connected. But what is it that can connect? And I know yesterday Sister Genti was asking for us to take up these, what happens in the consciousness. And in particular, it's the aspect of consciousness, or the aspect of the soul. And remember, as we said yesterday, the soul is the non-physical being, and there are so many things, memories, ideas, decisions, dreams, thoughts, all that is non-physical. It's the soul, the consciousness that is doing that. And perhaps the most important aspect, well, it's all important, it's there, but a key aspect is the intellect. Or you could also say conscience. Actually, it's interchangeable. And if my conscience or my intellect is in the right awareness, then I will be able to connect. Now, the intellect, it's not a function, like we say, someone's intellectual, academic, that's a skill, that's fine. But it's actually a very intuitive faculty. Yesterday it was mentioned that how do we take decisions? Ultimately, it's an intuition, right? I think for all of us, you weigh up the facts, if you like, but you have to go with your feeling at the end of the day. So the intellect is an intuitive faculty that senses, that knows, and is therefore able to discern truth from falsehood, right from wrong, and is able to act accordingly. But the thing is, as we know, the intellect or the conscience gets very influenced, and as we saw yesterday, and for me it was a little light bulb moment that any influence is the same as codependency. Thank you, Sonal, where are you? But we get so easily influenced, and so that colours, that has an impact on how the conscience works. And of course, thoughts are a key aspect of this soul, this being, me. And we produce many kinds of thoughts. The mind will think. That's what it's meant to do. That's why we say meditation isn't about suppressing your thoughts, but using your thoughts in a productive way. So the mind will think, but the direction of the thoughts will be according to the influence and therefore the belief systems, and you can say the conditioning that the conscience or the intellect has. So where does that come from? Then you have another aspect, which is the soul is an incredible recorder. A tape recorder records everything, the soul records everything. Many impressions, you could say. Now we use this Hindi word sanskaras because it's impressions, it's memories, it's conditioning, it's personality traits. So we don't have one word in English, maybe in another language. But this ability of the soul to take in everything. And according to what we take in, that then begins to inform the rest of the consciousness. But it's interesting, I know my own experience, you will know, and we mentioned trauma yesterday, when something has an emotional impact on you, what you take in is very deep and very strong. And then it tends to colour your behaviour, right? And we see so many things we don't even notice. From one of the sessions yesterday, you could ask all of you, what did you remember? Some will remember this, and then some will say this, oh, I didn't hear that. You take in accordingly. You have many filters. We have many filters. But when we get those strong impressions, then they can tend to drive us. And that's why this whole aspect of cleaning out and cleaning out the heart is so important. And that's why yesterday we really looked into not just the sanskaras that I have acquired along the way, but those original deep sanskaras in the soul, the qualities of the soul that we mentioned. And as those qualities emerge, the other traits that can be strong tend to lessen in their strength, because the qualities of the soul, the truth of who I am, is much stronger. It's a bit, I'm sure you know that parable about the bad wolf and the good wolf, and which wolf is stronger, the one that I feed. So where we keep thinking about certain things, those things become very strong, and they then tend to form part of our personality and belief system and conditioning. Yeah, making sense? So what I give attention to within myself is very, very important. And that's why we focus on those original qualities, because we want the intellect, the conscience, to become so clean and so clear that we can absolutely see what it is that we have to do, what is truth. It's not easy in a world of falsehood. And you can't figure it out just by research. It has to be the cleaning within. And so it goes in a pattern if you think about it. You take in those impressions, and then internally, whatever is strongest in you is what you tend to think about. So if someone's hurt me, how much do I think about that incident or that person? And I realized a while ago that if I keep thinking about someone, it means I want to control them. Because it's usually why they're doing this and they should be doing that, and control. And as we said, can't control anyone, but still, those impressions then give rise to thoughts, and that influences. I use the word buddhi, the intellect or the conscience. It influences it. And then eventually I can do something that I will regret. I may get angry, whatever it is. And then, once that thing is done, say I get angry. I'm sure none of you ever get angry, right? Including me. But once you've acted in a certain way, it again reinforces that sanskara. That's the problem. So the cycle continues. And when you think about, I'm not an expert by any means, but how addictions grip you, it's really this. An action gets reinforced and reinforced and reinforced. And even your intellect, your mind will say, but I shouldn't be doing this, but you cannot. You're compelled. And it's important to understand it, because I found it very helpful that when I can see I'm getting overpowered by something, I say, okay, can I put my buddhi, my intellect, my conscience back in charge? That's the benefit. And say, hold on, what is it that I want to be? How is it that I want to act? So it's like bringing back the autonomy of choice. Excuse me. So you're not just compelled by the past, but you're able to create proactively the present and therefore the future. Actually, you can't create the future, but you can create the present, and that will lead to the next moment and the next moment and the next moment. So if I do good in this moment, the next moment will be good, etc. So by creating the present, you are creating the future, but you can't create the future in advance. And realizing that helps to bring me back into focus of how I want my life to be. So our consciousness is so important. But then, in terms of our belonging, and oh yes, I am Raga saying that, conscience, or in Icelandic, collective wisdom. And then I had a thought this morning, it's not, and I'm sure you realize this anyway, but it's not collecting wisdom from here and there. It's actually the eternal, original wisdom that's inherent in each of us that creates that collective force. So coming back to the original and the eternal, our original and eternal relationship is with the divine. And my intellect, my conscience, my thoughts need to be so clean and clear so that I can make that connection without the interference from the sanskaras. They will try to interfere, of course, but once you understand what's happening, it's very helpful. So how do I connect? Like everything, like in any relationship, we need some understanding to connect. And yes, we feel we may have faith and trust in God, and that's a very beautiful thing. Even before I was with Brahma Kumaris, I very much felt a trust in God. But learning more about how to connect, I then understood that I could actually develop the relationship so that my companionship with God was not just something that happened occasionally, but was something that could remain with me. And that's been so precious. And ultimately in this world, as we've said, we need so much strength. And where can we get strength from? We can get strength from our original qualities. Difficult to get strength from human beings because they're also going through what I'm going through. But even to empower those qualities so that I can keep myself strong, I need the connection with the powerhouse, if you like. I need to connect. So I'll share with you the understanding that we have, and we will meditate on that. Just as the soul is a point of light, a being of light. And, there's something about the strength of something being infinitesimally small. When something's small, too small even to see, if you could see it physically, it has a lot of power. And so God is the supreme soul, that's the term we use, also point. But within that point is infinite power. Infinite power, infinite love, infinite truth, infinite bliss, all of the qualities, infinite peace, infinite purity, all those qualities, unending. We run out of our fuel, right? God doesn't. That's just as well, otherwise where would we fill up from? The relationship with God is needed for us to transform our lives, but also for the transformation of the world. This is what's missing. I remember many years ago hearing Alexander Solzhenitsyn, the Russian author, speak, And at that time it was the Cold War, and he said, man, of course we want to use man, woman, whatever, but he used the term man, has forgotten God. And he was looking at Europe and saying, Eastern Europe is, God has been written out, that time of communism. Western Europe, people are turning away from God. He said, this is the problem. And it's right. We've lost the connection in a deep way. And so when we have that understanding, using that understanding, we can then use our thoughts. And it's not a question of using many thoughts, just very few thoughts that can connect us, the light to the light. And once that connection is made, the energy begins to flow. And it's an incredible feeling, energy of love, the energy of peace. And it's very transformative. And as we fill up with that energy, it actually gives us the strength to be able to keep our conscience, our intellect absolutely clear. And it is a relationship. And I know in many faiths a personal relationship with God is not so thought of, but it's personal in the sense that the feeling that you're belonging to a being who knows you intimately. And that's very comforting. You feel loved, comforted, understood in that relationship. And it doesn't matter where you've come from, what you've done, how you are. God's love is completely unconditional. And so I think that's by way of little introduction, and I think maybe now we spend the rest of the time in meditation to make that connection together. Okay, ready? So, sit comfortably, feet on the floor or the cushion. Let us prepare. There may be many things I need to think about, but let me put those. Sorry, I should just say, like yesterday, if you wish to keep your eyes open, you may find that more focused, and you can focus on the point of light. But I should also say, keep your eyes relaxed, not staring or, it's not harsh, it's just relaxed. So let me put aside those thoughts for now and focus first on my original true self. I remember who I am, the being of light, in the center of my forehead. I become the light. I am light. And my original nature returns to me. I am a being of peace. Let me experience the depth of this. I am a unique being in this universe. I am a being of peace. And now, I wish to take my consciousness beyond. Beyond this physical dimension. To a place of silence. Total silence. My home of silence. And in the home of silence, I sense the presence of the divine, of God. I, the light, the beautiful light, move towards the light of God, the being of light. And I'm able to connect light to the light. And as I connect, it's as if I enter a vastness, a vastness of peace. So much peace. I'm filled with divine, eternal peace. This vastness is like an ocean. And I bathe in the ocean of God's love. A love that's so pure, so safe, only giving, no demands. the greatest love in the whole universe. As this love surrounds the soul, enters the soul, as I open myself to this love, I can feel the healing power of God's love. And I feel that ultimate sense of true belonging. I belong to God, and God belongs to me. God's love gives me courage and strength. God's love makes me whole again. As I absorb myself in this love, I feel the joy and the bliss of my eternal loving relationship with the divine. I can feel how that divine love overflows into our world. Giving comfort and support. Having filled myself with this eternal love, the power of I gradually begin my return journey. To my body, to the room, to be present again in this world of sound. Breathe.